Hey everyone, before we get to this week's show, this is just your weekly reminder to please continue to pray for my wife, Lindsay. She is battling breast cancer right now, and we're praying for complete healing in Jesus' name. Thank you.
This is a moment that only happens maybe once in a lifetime to people, if at all. And I'm the only person there. He drops me off, and there's a little parking lot, no other cars. There's a 4-foot asphalt path that takes you up to the entrance of a circle mound. And I realized I am looking at the rest of my life. And that led to On the Trail of the Nephilim. I mean, everything just exploded from that moment on. So we're looking at a hidden history which has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, the powers that we don't want to rewrite history. So there's this diaspora of the giants. They are fleeing. They come over to the New World, America, Stonehenge. There were pictures. It was very, very interesting. Mummies were found there. Supposedly giants. These red-haired, six-fingered giants roam the earth. And it points back once again to the validity of the biblical narrative. Because we went to Roswell, we found a piece of metal in the debris field. I showed it to you. The UFO is a very complex phenomenon, and it's real. There's physicality to it. We've taken implants out of people that were abducted and then implanted. I mean, this is real research. We've not just reading what someone else has done. We've been there. You know, we've talked to the ranchers who had their cattle mutilated. You know, I've been trained for 30 years. I mean, there's a corpus of work. It's not. I mean, obviously, he's raised me up for this, for such a time as this.
All right, we're back in studio here with Ellie Marzulli again. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be here, and it's an honor, as always.
Yeah, well, listen, before you got here, first of all, I had interviewed Karen Wilkinson in here today.
Okay.
And I discussed with her about this as well, how this all kind of came together so fast. I mean, I think it was just a few weeks ago, I was talking to her and you text me saying, hey, I'm going to be in town. I'm just like, this is wild.
Yeah.
And so this is a fast turnaround. And Jack and I were talking about it today, and this is your sixth time on the show for an episode.
Is it really?
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was like 4.
Jack, are you sure?
I think he counts to 6.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Jack?
He is part Nephilim, so he has 6 fingers.
Right. Don't put that on him, please.
He just counts the logo, the fingers right on the logo.
There you go. You know? 1, 2, 3.
But yeah, so I mean, I was like stunned by that. And I don't know if I've had a guest that's been on more than you now.
Well, thank you.
That's wild.
It's an honor.
I had no idea.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was trying to brainstorm, some things that we were going to talk about, and giants definitely came to mind. But before I got to the giants, I was trying to think about all your world traveling and your expeditions and your research and the different things you've been involved in. It covers just everything. And does it all stem from your childhood when you had a UFO encounter, or I mean,
that's great.
I feel like every great explorer has some kind of weird thing that happens in their childhood.
I did see a UFO at 12, but I was never interested in any of this, seriously. And I was in the New Age, and I read, von Daniken's work and everybody else. Mm-hmm. And this is in the 60s, into the 70s. And I was completely into the New Age. I would follow a guru and had vision quests. I was at Woodstock. I mean, I did all that stuff. But I became a Christian when I was 30. And I was been a musician. I have... Are we going to edit that out, please? I've been up for like 14 hours, folks. So,
I know you're fresh off the plane.
Yeah, fresh off the plane. So no coffee either. So at 30, I became a Christian. And I was a musician all my life, chasing the rock and roll carrot. That's all I wanted to do. So when I became a Christian, all I wanted to do was make Christian music and get a Christian record deal. That never happened. So I was a worship leader for like 25 years. So from 30 to 40, I get married. We have 2 children. And at 40, the Lord starts going, hey, tap, tap, tap. All that stuff you used to, well, let's go over here. And he began to move me, right? If I had known, I was kicking and screaming, but not really. But slowly he began to move me into what I'm doing now. The book that changed my life was Dr. I.D.E. Thomas's book, The Omega Conspiracy. That book completely radicalized me in every way, because that all of a sudden, because for that period, that 10-year period from 30 to 40, I'm looking at Noah going, I'm not buying this Old Testament God thing. It's too weird. Nobody knew anything about it. And once I got Dr. Thomas's book, that opened up the whole idea of a Nephilim, of a seed war, Genesis 3:15. That's the starting point. And I found out he lived in Studio City, and I lived in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's like an hour away. So we met for lunch, and he's like my father's age.
Okay.
And he's passed away now. He died at the same age as my dad, 94. And we would meet like once a month. I would run things by him. And that led to the very first book, which was the novel, Nephilim, The Truth Is Here. Pushed back to the whole UFO phenomenon. That was the beginning. But there was never a thought about making documentary films or writing any more books.
Yeah.
And now there's 34 films and 16 books.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's a whole corpus of work. And, Richard Shaw taught me everything I know about filmmaking. Rick passed away a number of years ago, and Gil Zimmerman is my new business partner. We did 10 films on the whole UFO phenomena. And I'm going to boast here, folks, but we're the only Christian ministry that has 10 films. Close Encounters of the First, Second, Third, and Fourth Kind, abductions, cattle mutilations, crop circles. We went to Roswell. We found a piece of metal in the debris field. I showed it to you.
Yeah.
I still have it. It's in the other room.
You don't leave home without it, do you?
And, 2 films on Roswell. Finally, What Is the Truth? I mean, and we run the whole gamut. Now with all this UFO stuff coming out,
yeah,
that's, here we are. So
yeah.
That's how I got into it. I did not, none of this is planned. It's all his fault up there. So this is Holy Spirit led.
Yeah.
I mean, our mission statement is to expose the deception of the prince of the power of the air and to herald the return of the King Jesus. And I think hopefully we live up to that, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I think you're definitely doing that. When
Thank you.
When you first started doing this stuff all these years ago, it wasn't as easy as it is now. I mean, like there was no platforms like this looking to talk to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it had to feel like you were just taking, mud, throwing against the wall and seeing what stuck. I mean, who's going to listen to this one, But you're doing this research and just kind of sharing what you've uncovered then.
We had a lot of pastors that, kind of the deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Or just broad brushing. Oh, it's all demonic. No, you can't say that. It's the UFO is a very complex phenomenon, and it's real.
Yeah.
There's physicality to it, absolutely all day long. But I digress. But yeah, I mean, I was asked to leave several churches because of this. People would look at me like I had 2 heads. Now, and folks, your government, our government, has declared that the phenomenon is real.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg in his new film, Disclosure Day, goes, I used to think how great it would be if all this was true. And then it cuts to another scene and he comes back, it is all true. And it is.
Yeah.
Without spoiler alert, but I mean, I've seen the movie once. I'll go back and see it again. And people are panicking. You need to understand what you're looking at here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in that film.
Yes.
A lot of things. Yes, it's one big chase scene. And the ending is sort of a letdown, or is it? Or is it?
I have thoughts, and we're gonna be doing a live show tomorrow with you, me, and Karen and Jack, and we're gonna talk about it because there's Derek. Unfortunately, Derek won't be able to be here for that, but Derek had some really good thoughts on the movie and some of the. I'm not even gonna butcher it. I'll let him do it sometime when we're talking on the show. But so that's how everything kind of comes together for you. Did you, when you started learning about this idea of the Nephilim and, just the concept of it, at what point did you start thinking, maybe I could research in the sense of finding artifacts? Or was that ever something that crossed your mind? I wonder if these things, are they actually gone? Could they still be roaming the earth? I mean, was it coming across people's stories that made you start thinking that? Or were you thinking, listen, if the scripture says this, then we got to find the evidence of it?
It's a combination of factors. Dr. Thomas's book opened me up. G.H. Pember's book, Earth's Earliest Ages, and then all the, like reading Josephus, which I had never read before. And Dr. Thomas is one of the books that he cites. And so I got Josephus and looked at what he was talking about. And Josephus says, at the writing, first century, the bones of a Nephilim, which had countenances so unlike any normal human being, were openly on display in Hebron. So Jerusalem's here. Hebron is on the way up. It's about 20 miles away or whatever, which means that if you went to Jerusalem, more than likely you would go through Hebron and you would look at the giant skeletons and you tell your little kids and your wife, see that? That's what your ancestors cleared out of a land. So it was all there. And, you know, one thing leads to another. One of the turning points for me was years ago. The late Russ Dizdar. Russ and I were at 90 conferences together.
90?
90
Holy cow. I hope I never attend 90.
Well, that's right. We were everywhere together and we were battle buddies. I mean, I've had pictures where he walks in the room and I just start lighting up and vice versa. Homie, that's what we would call each other. We did a road trip, just the two of us. I won't go there because it's just, you know, it's like, it's just Cheech and Chong. I mean, it's unbelievable without the, you know, inhaling.
I was going to say, clarify a little bit.
It's just like, we're just laughing the whole time, hysterical, you know, on just goofing on stuff. So Russ he goes, LA, calls me up one night. He goes, you know where you're going? I go, yeah, I'm going to this conference in Ohio. So you have to know Russell. He starts laughing with this little chuckle thing. I'm okay, what's going on? He goes, do you really know where you're going? I go, no, I'm just going to Ohio. He goes, you're on your computer? I go, yeah. And he goes, Google Nephilim Chronicles, Fallen Angels in the Ohio Valley. I go, what? So I Google that. Fritz Zimmerman's book comes up. This is the beginning of the end for me. Right?
Wow, I just got that book in the mail.
Yeah, right? And so I order it. I get the book, but I also order the PDF because I have a 5-hour flight the next day because it's a stopover LAX to Ohio. So I'm doing this thing and I'm reading this. I'm like speed reading it, just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So Fritz is talking about the Octagon Mound, the Circle Mound, all this other stuff in Ohio. And I had no idea of it. And so I'm at the conference and a driver's picking me up from the hotel, bringing me to the conference back and forth. So on Saturday, the conference started I fly in on Thursday, Friday, the conference. So Saturday and then Sunday, and then I'm off Sunday afternoon. So it's Saturday afternoon. I go, hey, you know, where's this? Do you know where these Newark earthworks, the Great Circle Mound? You know where these? Oh yeah, we've been passing it every day. It's right up here, about a mile on the right. I go, no way. He goes, yeah, way. So the car, and I see the big sign, Newark earthworks, as they say. They don't pronounce Newark.
Oh yeah,
they pronounce
it
Newark.
Yeah,
I live in Newark, Ohio. So we passed the sign, do the conference. Next day is Sunday. I have like the whole afternoon free. He drops me off in the parking lot. This is a moment that only happens maybe once in a lifetime to people, if at all. And I'm the only person there. He drops me off, and there's a little parking lot, no other cars. There's a 4-foot asphalt path that takes you up to the entrance of a circle mound. As I'm walking up the path, I realize there are the walls of the great circle mound. Not, I said serpent, circle mound. And they're huge. They're like 20 feet tall. And I get up to the top. Yeah.
Wow.
I get up to the top and I look to the right. There's the museum. And I look to the left and there's the gateway. So it's the circle and there's the gateway where you walk into the circle. And there's a moat that goes all the way around the circle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're supposed to believe that Native Americans did this.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I walk up to the entrance and I stand in the entrance. I'm the only person there as twilight. I'm the only person there. There's nobody else on the site. And that in itself is weird. I'm the only person there. And I'm dead center of the entrance. And I'm like this, hyperventilating. Spirit of the Lord is all over me. And I realize I am looking at the rest of my life.
Wow.
I am looking at the rest of my life. And that led to On the Trail of the Nephilim. It led part of it into the Watchers series. I mean, everything just exploded from that moment on. And here we are. And I've been all over the place.
Wow.
You know, I'm 75. I'll be 76 in December. And I'm winding down.
What day in December?
14th.
14th. Oh,
Thank you.
That's the 8th.
Send this quick. Send your donations right now, and you'll get this magic prayer cloth. No, but
my son's the 8th and Lindsay's the 16th. That's why.
Oh wow.
Asked, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. No, but 34 films, 16 books, all around UFOs, Nephilim, because everything dovetails together. You know that.
Yeah.
And we just look behind us, right? Everything dovetails like this. It's all sourced, as Russ Dizdar would say, from Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the source of it.
Yeah.
So that was the nexus of it. And
you just said though, you just said about being turning 76 soon and winding down.
Yeah.
Really? You think you're winding down? You think you're gonna wind down? I don't believe that. at all. Because last time we talked, I think it might have been even on the show, you mentioned about, I think maybe it was just off air, but how I think both your parents lived in their 90s.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. And like not just like barely making it to their 90s. They're very
active. Yeah, very much so.
So I mean, you're fine.
Yeah. But no, we're not doing conferences per se anymore. We just, like you, concentrate on the daily show.
Yeah.
Thousands of people come to the daily show. Why?
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. As far as books and stuff, as far as international travel, nothing's on the books. It's like I have 2 films that are in the can I've got to finish. The 16th book, I'm down to my last chapter 14, and that should be done this week. And that's called The Luciferian Endgame. Charisma will publish it. Charisma Media is also doing an expanded version on Rungs of Disclosure.
Because there's more rungs.
Because there's way more rungs, and they're selling it like hotcakes. They're told me.
Wow.
They're selling 400 or 500 books every single week.
Wow.
And they need to, because this is it. It's all there.
Yeah.
So because the book only goes up to 18, but not anymore. They're going to go from 19 to 31, which is where we are now.
Wow. 31.
Yeah. 31st rung, which is really cool. And then what I'm hoping for is that the waiting room, I think that's it right over there. The waiting room is set up for a sequel, but I haven't gotten marching orders on it yet. So I got to finish this book. I'm taking the rest of take July and August off. September, I'll start working on the films again and get those out. And then after that, I don't know. We'll see what the Lord has in mind. I mean, obviously, He's raised me up for such a time as this.
Yeah.
And, in some ways, I'm Mr. Know-It-All. I say that it's just tongue in cheek, of course. He's Mr. Know-It-All, but I mean, He's raised me up for this for like over 30 years.
Yeah, you can't like right when at the pinnacle of everything, you can't be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's like, no, I don't think so. We're not letting that happen. You remember Justin Fall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I texted him a few weeks ago. Hope he doesn't. He probably doesn't listen anyways. But I texted him a few weeks ago, and we've been trying to touch base, but. I basically, because I kept on missing phone calls and stuff with him, I just text him what I wanted to talk to him on the phone about. I said, man, listen, we are living in a time where...
Unprecedented.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. And I said, you were dropping information years ago when the world wasn't ready to hear it. And I said to him, it's time for you to kind of come back out and talk and share with people what you know and what you've researched, because the world's ready to hear it now. And he never answered that text message, so I don't know if he agrees or not. But I mean, we text here and there and stuff. But I really believe in him, and he's a really good guy, and his research has done a lot of good work in my mind. So you're in that vein as well, where now is the time. There's no sleeping. There's no,
and I get that, which is why I'm here.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, and then on the 7th, I'll be down at Daystar.
Oh yeah,
July, yeah.
Okay,
they fly me in, and this is it. This is what I've been trained for 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a corpus of work. It's not. We haven't looked at other people's. We went to the debris field.
Yeah,
I can go get it if you want me to. We got a piece of metal out of a debris field.
Yeah, you did.
We've taken implants out of people that were abducted and then implanted, and then when we went in the operating theater to remove the implant, it vanished. And then one prayer brought that thing back. I'm not making this stuff up. We've got films on cattle mutilations, films on crop circles. I mean, this is real research. We've not just reading what someone else has done. We've been there. We've talked to the ranchers who had their cattle mutilated, and we may be the first researchers ever to put this together. Human blood and bovine blood can be interchanged. You've got to process the cow's blood. I get that. Mm-hmm. So when you take, and Karen can, maybe we can talk about this tomorrow with Karen, but a woman is impregnated by them, and there's a hybrid entity within them. 3rd month, they're reabducted. That hybrid entity, hybrid fetus is removed. Well, it needs to go into an artificial womb. That's what the cow's blood is used for. That's why they drain the blood out of the cow. And they take the genetic material and they're creating artificial wombs. That's what they're doing. Which is, Hell's Kitchen, high strangeness to the nines.
Yeah.
This is where we are. And Jesus warns us, it'll be like the days of Noah. This is exactly what happened in the days of Noah.
When it comes to the implants that you just mentioned, did you ever find yourself in a situation where you got an opportunity, I don't know if it's an opportunity or not, but to actually hold it? Hold an implant?
You want to hear the story?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. 1999. All right. My very first book comes out, Nephilim, A True for Sure, published by Zondervan. We have the rights back, so we publish it ourselves.
Oh,
now.
wonderful.
Hold on. Chuck. Chuck, save me, Chuck.
I'm telling you, man, it's these long days.
Okay.
You're on California time.
Yeah, 3, 2. We're on 3 hours earlier.
Yeah.
I'm a spring chicken. Okay, 3, 2, 1. You like that? You have something, a little audio to cut to? Thank you. 1. So it's 1999, 1998. My first book, Nephilim, has come out. Now, I have been emailing Dr. Roger Lear, whose website used to be The Alien and the Scalpel and the Alien, right? Something like that. And he was a podiatrist. And at this point, he had taken out his first implant. So I go down to this UFO meetup group because Barry Chalmers from Israel is speaking. And Barry Chalmers' book, Nephilim, because they're appearing in Israel during this time. Giant footprints. People were seeing these things.
Wow.
He's freaking out. And he was an Israeli journalist. So he's speaking there. So I go down and I walk up to, there's only like maybe 30 or 40 people there. And I hold up my book, Nephilim. He just goes like this. And we communicated until he passed away a number of years ago. Good guy. So I get wind that Dr. Roger Lear is also attending the meeting. So I go up to him. I go, Dr. Roger, this is L.A. Marzulli. We've been emailing each other. Great to meet you. And, we converse back and forth. And I go, I understand that you just took out your first implant. He goes, yeah, would you like to see it? And that's a really good imitation of Dr. Lear, by the way, just so you know, okay? We won't charge you extra for that. So I go, yeah. And he goes, hold out your hand. So I hold out my hand. He reaches it. You have to know Roger. He just loved it. And so he reaches in his pocket, he takes a little vial out, and he goes like this, wiggles it. My hand's like this. He opens up the vial, and he puts the implant, tumbles out, and it's in my hand. And I'm going, I am holding something more than likely not from this earth.
Wow.
And that began this friendship. Dr. Roger was in all 11 of our Watchers series. Dr. Roger Lear broke the Kumburgaz story. Some people go, oh, it's a hoax. It's not real. Excuse me. Richard Shaw, the director of all of our Watchers series, the three of us would meet together for lunch once a month. Roger, Rick, and myself. And we would, talk shop, talk UFOs. And Dr. Roger Lear gave Richard the original footage of the Kumburgaz UFO. He had to go buy a 35 millimeter deal so he could watch it. He went through it frame by frame. And what he found, and this is in Watchers 11, I think, he shows that there's a third entity. So you see the grays, like behind me, right? You see the grays like this. And it appears like there's someone laying on a table in front of them. And there's an entity that does this.
Really?
Back and forth like this. And it kind of looks like a mantis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rick did a frame by frame analysis. So for those people who are out trying to tell us that this is a hoax, think again. We were there. It's Roger actually talks about it. And what's great is the cameraman, I'll use this for a prop. So the cameraman, here's the moon, let's say. So he pulls way back. So here's the moon. And right underneath it like this is a little white speck. Okay. He's got a telephoto lens on his camera. It's like this long. So here's the moon. Here's this little white speck. So then he zooms in and you see the moon. You see the little white speck. Then he zooms in on the little white speck and you see the craft with the two guys in the craft.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and we just recently did this woman who's an artist. Her name is Deb. She goes by Dev. I had her on my show. And I can give you that. It's on my computer. So she took the Kumburgaz UFO with the grays in it, and she began to put filters on it, and filters. And you can plainly see, the bulbous head with the big black eyes. It's right there.
Wow.
Yeah, right there. So, yeah, that's how all that started.
Wild. I know there's I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but there's controversy how the doctor died. Is that right? It's kind of iffy because I'm assuming we don't have any of the implants that he pulled out of people. Then
one guy has them all.
One guy has them all.
One guy has them all. And
I feel like you're about to tread lightly.
Really, yeah, really interesting. You should mention that. I'm actually thinking about reaching out to him and saying, number 17, which is the last one that Dr. Roger Lear pulled out, we paid for everything there.
Oh.
Richard and I, we paid for everything. We paid Dr. Matriciani. There was another cameraman. I won't mention anything about that. I can't go there, but he created a film on, using part of our film, which Rick let him have, but he never gave us credit. That's okay. That's how the game is played. I totally understand. I'm a big boy. No harm, no foul. Somebody's watching though. Yeah, I didn't give credit here. Okay, name please. Thank you.
I feel like that about some people clipping my show for their own channels.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I'm like, hey, that's me, and you're not labeling it me. Nothing.
No,
it's just
that's it.
Using my face and likeness.
Oh yeah, all day long. That's how the game is played here. Hello. So he's got the implants, and I was going to reach out to him and say, look, I'll give you $1,000. Just give me the implant that we took out. Yeah. We've already spent over $5,000, closer to $7,000 to get all this out. And Emil, who we took it out, it's actually his property and he wants it back. So I'm going to reach out to this guy. And
is it a reasonable? Does he seem like a reasonable person?
I don't know.
So you don't know him very personally?
I know him, but the fact that, he's gone kind of dark and he won't let anybody look at these things, and he's kind of hoarding them. Okay, but I don't know. I haven't seen him in years. But it's just really interesting. You should say that, because I really thought just the last couple of days of maybe, hey, let's look him up on the internet, send out a nice email. I'd like to get this back. Emil would like it back. I would like to do some testing on it. He actually wrote a chapter in one of my books, which is really great, because he did some. There was a guy who was abducted. No, let me back that up. There was a man who was an experiencer on some level. So he's in bed one night. A true story, okay? And this is the deep end of the pool, but we've had Karen on. Yeah. We've had Karen on. So that's the deep end of the pool. These two hybrid females appear in his room. How does that work? And they basically rape him, both of them, okay? And he's paralyzed, he can't move, but they rape him.
Wow.
And the next morning he wakes up and he's having trouble urinating. Gee, I wonder why. And he notices that there are two blondish hairs, because these entities were very alien looking, big black eyes, long blonde hair, but they were obviously females. And he has the presence of mind of taking the hair and getting it analyzed.
Wow.
And this is hard science. So we took the hair, it's in my book, On the Trail of the Nephilim. We took the hair from basically a 2,000-year-old mummy from the Paracas skulls. It was a piece of red hair. We unwrapped that mummy skull in Paracas. We did that. Thank you, Brian Forrester. Thank you, Senior Juan, who's no longer with us. It was his museum. He allowed us to unwrap this mummy. Jeez. We did the carbon-14 dating on it. It's 1,935 years old. Richard filmed everything, okay? We broke the story. And we had the hair analyzed. We also had the DNA analyzed in 3 different labs. The DNA came back U2E1, which is Eastern European. It's not contaminated. There's 3 different samples to 3 different labs. There's no collusion between the labs. U2E1. Gee, I wonder what that is. That's Eastern European. That rewrites history as we know it. But the academics don't like that. Oh, it's all contaminated. Well, if it's all contaminated, why didn't we get nuclear DNA from us? We took my DNA samples and other people's DNA samples, and nothing matches. And our protocols were above board. But anyway, I digress. So we have the hair sample from the Paracas mummy skull. We have the hair sample from the man who was raped by these 2 blonde, you could call them Nordics, but they're hybrids. They're not entirely human. And we analyze them, Raman spectroscopy, okay? This is where it gets interesting. And there's a graph. So you take a normal human hair and it kind of goes like this, all right? That's what it is. You take a dyed human hair and it goes like this and goes up through the roof. These are graphs. You take the mummy, the red hair from the mummy, and the white hair from the man who found it on him, and they go like this.
Wow.
They trace just like that.
Identical.
And he wrote a paper on this because we had critics that, of course, they don't know anything about this, but we had critics. But, the gentleman who did this stood by his work and gave a very detailed description of why. And so what's interesting about this, okay, this ties into our work on the Nephilim, like the days of Noah. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men. So here we have this entity, and it's not human. You can say what you want. The foramen magnum is pushed all the way to the posterior of the skull. That's not normal. It's elongated. The eye sockets are 20% larger. It's got kind of reddish hair. And, the DNA puts it in Eastern Europe. That rewrites history.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're looking at, in my opinion, are the remnants of a Nephilim, which were in Peru. They sailed. And look, in our film, the very first film on the Trail of the Nephilim, we have this clip by Thor Heyerdahl. So, Thor Heyerdahl pushed back against the prevailing narrative, and he creates a replica of a papyrus boat that was used a couple thousand years ago, right? And he launches this thing off essentially from West Africa straight to Gibraltar. No compass, no map, nothing. Just puts up a sail. Let's see where we go. And guess where you'll wind up? You'll wind up on the island of Barbados.
Wow.
That's the new world. And from there, hop, skip, and a jump, and you're in Peru. And that's what they did. But the mainstream science, archaeologists don't like that because it rewrites history. Mainstream archaeology has a paradigm. It's called isolationism, which believes that people move very, very slowly. Nothing changes. People don't really go anywhere. Diffusionists, of which, of course, I am an ardent diffusionist, believe that, no, that's not true. There's a river. Let's see where it goes. I'm 16. Let's get the canoe and we'll just travel for a couple of days. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And off you go. We're diffusionists. And that's exactly what happened. There's a stele on the shores of North Africa. I got this from my friend Mark Kahn, and Mando Gonzalez also talks about it, but it's pretty much common knowledge. There was a stele that was on the north shore of Africa that was recorded by the Roman historian Procopius, which says, "We are they who fled from the face of Joshua the robber, the son of Nun." Now, what the heck is that doing there?
Wow.
That shows you that the conquest of Canaan was true. And for most people that go to church, this is never taught.
Right.
When you get there, it's like, well, this sounds like genocide to me. Oh, God's got his reasons.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. And that's what you hear. It's just nonsense. It's the seed war, Genesis 3:15. You should show that clip right here, right? Hello. But it's the Genesis 3:15 seed war.
Yeah.
And it's fully manifested. Jack's laughing over there. It's fully manifested when they come into Canaan. We saw the Nephilim, they were like grasshoppers in their sight. It's not genocide. I got this from Judd Burton. It's gianticide. The giants are in the land, but there's also other tribes which may have different genetic characteristics. That's conjecture on my part. But Anakim means long necks. Okay? Nephilim, Rephaim, Emims, the Horites, they're all different, maybe different genetic characteristics, but they're there.
Yeah.
And they're not human. They're not human. And this is why they go in and they clear the land. Guess what? I think we talked about this last time I was here. Guess where they didn't conquer? Just take a wild guess where they didn't go and conquer. The Gaza Strip.
That's right.
They never went in the Gaza. And just for what it's worth, you've got your six finger right there, the six-fingered hand. When they were exchanging the prisoners in Gaza, the Israelis who have been locked away in tunnels for a couple of years, right? And they're bringing them out. They're making this big show of it. They've got a banner, okay? On the banner was a six-fingered hand. And it's written in Hebrew and in Arabic and in English. And it says, "We are the flood." Yeah. They know exactly who it is that they serve. And that's deliberate. All day long, it's deliberate. Just saying. I'm not saying that the people in Gaza are Nephilim. I'm not saying that.
Well, maybe some. Who knows?
Yeah, right. But that's deliberate. Six-fingered hand, that's deliberate.
Wow, that's wild. I mean, and I would say for my little joke there, anybody who got upset by it, I think there could be Nephilim in other places other than the Gaza Strip.
Bingo.
I'm not biased. So first of all, kind of what you were just hitting on here, I had done a little study on David's Mighty Men and his it lists by name his top 3 guards.
Right.
There's a whole slew of
Right.
soldiers,
Right.
but it lists the man who was the head of his bodyguards as Benaiah, and it lists Benaiah's feats, and it talks about how he killed this Egyptian soldier. And in some Bible translations, it says that the Egyptian soldier was a very beautiful man. And it's like, okay, well, that's not a qualifier to be the King David's bodyguard. Okay, so what else? And when you look at it, other translations talk about how this Egyptian soldier was a gigantic man. And then it says that he killed 2 lion-headed
men, right,
from Moab.
Yeah, right.
And when you look at
what are we looking at here?
Yes, folks? When you're looking at Moab and what was going on there, I make the argument that if you're trying to list somebody who is a very impressive person, David in his own right is for lack of better terms, a super soldier. He was the dude. And if you're being put in charge of protecting him, killing 2 hybrid animal creature things, lion-headed creatures, I think that's a qualifier, just like an Egyptian giant would be, And so going to the scriptures and how we're not necessarily taught. And I used to fault pastors when I was younger, younger.
But you can't, because they come through seminary.
Exactly. I went through seminary, and I did. I did
not a word.
No. I had one professor.
Turn the page.
I had one professor, Mark McLean, and he would, in his spare time around us, would talk about this weird thing, the Nephilim. And so he was my 4th episode I ever did. I invited him to my house in Pennsylvania, and we talked about the topic. But it was not something that is discussed in a very serious academic way.
No, it's not.
And so and I think times are changing now because of the world we're living in.
Oh, yeah.
But up to this point, most pastors weren't taught about it. And so pastors, for whatever you want to say, the church's role and stuff, pastors are very concerned with shepherding their flock, and at least a lot of pastors that I've been around are interested in discipling the believers in their flock so they can go out and make more disciples.
That's the status quo,
right? And so I don't want to. I used to be real hard on it, like when you were here for, or not here, but you were my 18th episode. In that era of the show, I was very much like, I don't understand why pastors, And now I don't really have that feeling towards them. I guess I have more grace towards their perspectives. But the way things are going now, they need to wake up. But it's also what I feared would happen. So there was a guy that I went to church with, and when I first started the show, him and I would talk about these topics, and he had no idea about Nephilim. And so I'm just a schmuck that drives a truck with a podcast to him. So he made an appointment to meet and talk with our pastor about it. And in that meeting, the very first thing the pastor says is, "Yeah, I don't really know much about that." And that's kind of the stuff that gave me a real bad attitude towards it. But now, I don't think they can say that, because it's such a topic of discussion now. But now I think that very scenario of I don't know much about that, that's the thing that I feared with this kind of stuff, is that pastors aren't going to have answers to what the world is going to start discovering. Okay, it's time for a commercial break to pay the bills. Listen, we got a new one here, Field of Greens. Most people don't look forward to their annual physical because they're nervous about what the doctor might find. I'm certainly one of those people. Ever since I turned 40, I don't know, things have just been feeling different, where my body feels different. I feel even more pain than I used to. And it's weird just thinking about that benchmark of 50, where when you were younger, it's like, oh, 50's old and that's so far away. And now I'm less than 10 years away from 50, and I'm thinking it's not that old. And it's right around the corner, and my body feels it. And that's why what you do before the appointment at the doctor's office, when you go for your checkup, matters so much. Before your next checkup, make one health change your doctor should notice, or your money back, and that is make it Field of Greens. Doctors today look beyond your counter age, and they look at a biological age, how healthy your cells are and vital your organs are. Field of Greens was designed with that in mind. Each fruit and vegetable is doctor selected to support your cells, heart, lung, kidneys, and healthy weight. In fact, a university study found that participants who only had Field of Greens saw measurable improvements in key health markers. Just one change changed everything. And that's why Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. Go to your next physical confident, one scoop once a day, and you're done. Make Field of Greens your one smart change this year. Check out the university study and get 20% off at fieldofgreens.com, promo code Tony. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code Tony.
If you were going to keep one thing away from seminarians, right?
Yeah.
You control, just like liberal colleges, right? You pack the college with liberal thought and you turn out little liberals. That's what, because all they're doing is parroting what the professor tells them, right?
Yeah.
They're just parroting, and the professor's parroting what he was told. You're going to keep one scripture away from the people, away from the pastors. You never teach them this. So they walk out of seminary, have no idea what's going on. You never explain Genesis 3:15. Thank you, Gary Stearman.
Yeah.
You never explain Genesis 3:15, which in my opinion sets up the rest of the biblical prophetic narrative. Mm-hmm. The seed of the dragon, the offspring of the dragon, will be at war with the offspring of the woman. First prophecy. The Mashiach, the Messiah, the proto-evangelium will crush the dragon's head. You'll bruise his surface. The whole Bible.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. 3 chapters later, you get the Nephilim.
Yep.
And the whole Sethite theory wasn't invented until the 4th century. So when Jesus goes, it'll be like the days of Noah 2,000 years ago, when I return, which everybody's going, where are you going? What do you mean when you return? You're like the days of Noah. They all know what he's talking about because the bones of a Nephilim are in Hebron. We've already kind of touched that, right? They already know. They know exactly what he's talking about. So the knucklehead, Julius Africanus, I say that with all due respect, shows up in the 4th century and just writes the Sethite theory. So the sons of God become the godly line of Seth, and the earthly human women are the hoochie mamas of Cain. But last time I checked, sorry, Tony. That's a good one, right? Jack's over there stifling a laugh. But the bottom line is this, hoochie mama is not in the Bible. It's just not there. And this is...
I'm sorry. That's funny. All right. I got me choking my water here.
I'm sorry, but that's what is promulgated in many churches, which to me is a complete disconnect. Sons of God is always translated B'nai Ha Elohim. Now you can tap dance around that and tell me that's not what it says. Take it up with G.H. Pember. Take it up with Dr. I.D.E. Thomas. Take it up with the late Chuck Missler. Take it up with Gary Stearman. Those of us who are dispensationalists, of which I'm a charismatic dispensationalist, but this is it. This is exactly what it is. And without it, you don't teach that in the seminary. A pastor doesn't teach it to his flock because he doesn't know. Yeah. And there are good men and good women out there who believe in the Sethite theory, but the Sethite theory isn't invented interpretation isn't invented until the 4th century. Augustine latches onto it. You get 1,000 years of dark ages, right? And then finally you get Gutenberg in the 14th century, 1444, the printing press. And even then, Tyndale was burned at the stake. So this whole thing is like kept under wraps. And then you control the narrative by placing a professor who believes this, not the Genesis 3:15. It's not taught. It is not taught. I'm not aware of any seminary right now, maybe there is one, that teaches the Genesis 3:15 narrative about the seed war. And it's right there. The offspring of the serpent, the offspring of the dragon will be at war, enmity with the offspring of the woman. And I read, it doesn't mean, it means offspring for the woman, but not for the dragon. Well, how? It's the same word. How can you pick and choose? Yeah. And it sets up the whole thing because when you get to Genesis 6, that's the culmination of a seed war. When you get to the Tower of Babel, there it is again. Abraham and the kings. Who is Abraham fighting? Nephilim. When you get to Sodom and Gomorrah, is the God of the Old Testament some sort of malicious, capricious, maniacal God? No. Why are they so depraved at Sodom and Gomorrah? Because it's a Nephilim stronghold. Finally, when we get to the conquest of Canaan, it's genocide. You can try to, squeeze that thing and torture the text and it's genocide. It's genocide unless the Nephilim are there. And that's exactly who is there. Finally, when you get to Daniel 2:43, their seed, there's that dirty word again, seed, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. And this is the latter days. The angel's telling him, seal up the book, Dan, until the time of the end. What's the time of the end? Well, men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth. Knowledge will increase. So if you're an amillennialist, well, that's just, we can't trust that. That's allegory. No, it's not. It's literal. We are in the time of the end. Israel's back in the homeland, number one. Number two, as we are speaking, men and women are traveling over the face of the earth. Knowledge increases. My gosh, look at AI. Every hour, right? We're here. And guess what? The seed war is happening. Talk to Karen Wilkinson. Yeah. The hybrids are walking amongst us, the title of Dr. David Jacobs' book. So we're here. But if you're an amillennialist, none of this makes any sense. It doesn't matter. It's all allegory. You can't possibly figure out what's going on. But for those of us who look at the Bible literally and take it literally, sons of God are always B'nai Elohim, which always refers to, the angelic host. And whatever you do, the other thing is don't read the Book of Enoch, okay? If you read the Book of Enoch, you're going to get spanked. This is ridiculous. Read the Book of Enoch. You can appreciate its historicity. Yeah. It's quoted in Jude. And just think about this. So Jude is Jesus's brother. They don't have books back then. They have scrolls, and scrolls are a lot of money. So why is Jude quoting the Book of Enoch? It'd be like those who left their first estate, this whole thing, right? So why is Jude quote? You don't quote something unless it's part of your warehouse. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all, sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment of twinkling. Why do I know that? Because it's part of my wheelhouse. It's part of who I am. So Jude is quoting from what he knows, right? So this is conjecture, hypothetical. I'm having fun here. Please don't burn me in the stake at the end of a church service, okay? No auto da fe for LA, but just think about this. So Jesus is the elder brother. Maybe Jesus walks in, he's got a scroll, and he goes, "Hey, Jude," but he goes, "Hey, Jude," right? I got this Book of Enoch here, a scroll of Enoch. You might want to read this. It might come handy a little bit later. I'm not saying that happened, but it could have happened. Yeah. Because they're all living together. He's the Lord's brother. I mean, we don't know. Yeah. Maybe when we get to the other side, we'll get the video and we get to watch it, Maybe he does walk in and he starts singing, "Hey, Jude." I don't know. I'm being silly here, folks. But there's a strong possibility that could have happened that way. And all Enoch 1 does is amplify what happened. Yeah. What happened. And you and this is the challenge, take Enoch chapter 6 and your King James Version and overlay them. They read word for word. The only difference is sons of God is translated in Enoch, the angels of heaven, which is exactly what the whole process is. Wow.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch is another topic that, it seems like there's camps both ways and they get very extreme.
Oh, they get violent.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, all right, guys, let's just relax a little bit.
Just take a deep breath, okay?
Yeah. Just breathe. It's going to be okay. But I think people get like that when they're put in an intellectually uncomfortable place.
And that's what happens. Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it makes them uncomfortable and they react like that. So when it comes to the seed war, the Nephilim, and the widespread of this, Catalina Islands is a big chapter in your work.
Yeah.
Before we get to that the content of that chapter that you're involved in here, the spread of giants. What are your thoughts on how it happened, why it happened? Because I tend to go a little crazy with my theories. So I want to hear yours first before I tell you how weird I am.
Well, I mean, we're both weird. I mean, a lot of people look at this and go, "Whoa, what does that have to do with Jesus?" That has everything to do with
everything.
Jesus. Everything. Yeah. So you have a diaspora, and you can follow that diaspora from the Holy Land, Northern Africa. You can follow it all through the Mediterranean, which I have done. Go to the island of Gozo, go to the island of Malta, and you see these megalithic structures. Go to Sardinia. I've been to all these places. Go to the Balearics, the same thing. Well, we're not sure who built these towers, but they just disappeared. Isn't that great? It's like, okay, And that wherever you go, it's the same thing. And then from there, you go into Menga, Spain. It's the largest dolmen in all of Europe. The largest dolmen. The capstone is absurd, absolutely absurd. Okay. And from Menga, you go to Portugal. So then from Portugal, you get into Spain, or I'm sorry, from Spain, you go to Portugal. Portugal, you get into France. France, you get into the UK. And then Ireland, all these dolmens, Stonehenge, it's all there. And then they hop over here. They can just hop right like that very easily. And what do we see? America Stonehenge. And we broke a story on that. Well, we didn't, but we have a whole film on that. Actually, 2 films
New
on
Hampshire,
that.
right?
Yeah. And what's interesting about America Stonehenge is when you take the center of the henge, the center of the site, and you go out to the summer solstice standing stone, the sun sets right over that stone, like this, sets right over the stone. You draw a line. This is the work of Kelsey Stone, who he broke the story. He's just a college kid, 23 years old when he did this. So he goes on Google Earth years ago. He draws a line. See where it goes. Maybe it comes near my house. Well, the line comes pretty close to itself. Hey, that's pretty cool. Since I'm on Google Earth, what the heck? Let's see where it goes. No one had ever done this before. No one. So he's on Google Earth and he draws the line. And now he's by Nova Scotia, and now he's across the Atlantic, and he goes through Ireland, and he finds himself in southern England. And he goes, I think I'm close to Stonehenge. And so he zooms in, and that line, Tony, there's 2 trilithons. They're like this. So the line comes through the center of each one.
Wow.
And you can't do that. That's spherical geometry. There's something we discovered, which is in On the Trail of a Nephilim #9. That's probably one of the last films I will edit. And I've just got, I have my start. It's taken me 2 years. And finally, this one particular gentleman who's a chief of the Shawnee came on the record. And that's what I've been waiting for. So Jay, if you're watching this, thank you. So, Jay came on, and he's a Shawnee chief. He brought his drum and all his regalia. And he just starts singing this thing, which is like, who knows how old it is, this song. And it's all on film. Wow. That's the opening to the film, is just him. And then in the background, I'll be just showing different things. But the bottom line is there's a connectivity. And in our film, On the Trail of a Nephilim #9, we'll show that connectivity in this in similar way that what we discovered at America Stonehenge, or what Kelsey showed. And we did a whole film on this. But On the Trail 9 will show something which I believe is just absolutely mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. And this has been, we've done it we've tested it on Google Earth over and over and over again. We know it holds true, and it rewrites history. But of course, the powers that be don't want to rewrite history. So there's this diaspora of the giants. They are fleeing. They come over to the New World, America Stonehenge. They go into, in my opinion, they go into Ohio. They start spreading through down the Mississippi River. They go to places like Cahokia. So Cahokia is about 450,000 tons of earth. 450,000 tons of earth.
That's a ton. It's
a lot.
It's more than a ton.
And we're told that Native Americans with clamshell hose, a clamshell hose, seriously, or stone hose, and birch bark baskets, right? Hunter-gatherer people somehow collected all this dirt and made this mammal. How did they compact it, number one? Who has time to do this, number two? Who's feeding the workers, number three? Why is it a 40-acre plaza in front of Cahokia is almost dead level to 4 inches? Why is it that the moat and the Great Circle Mound in the Newark earthworks, which we've already talked about, why is that moat dead level, almost dead level? We hired a surveyor who went in different place of that mound. Essentially, it's dead level. How did they do that? And we interviewed this guy, the surveyor, and he said, well, they could have brought water in. Well, how do they bring the water in? Who's got time to do all this? And then you get the celestial alignments. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Not too many people know about this. And this is the work of Fritz Zimmerman. See the way I always give credit to people?
Yeah, I've noticed several times.
Always.
Yeah. Because,
I'm standing on Fritz's shoulder. Fritz Zimmerman had this idea, a theory, that this was Celtic in some way. And the Celts are picking up all this stuff from, this is Nephilim architecture, is what we're looking at. So when we were there a couple of years ago with our surveyor, and he had this little gadget where he could look at sunrises, and he proved what Fritz had hypothesized. So Fritz goes out there, and we have all this on film with the Newark Paranormal Group and some drones and stuff. The bottom line is, so I'd have to show you the picture. So you have a circle like this, and you got the gateway to that circle. Mm-hmm. Guess what that gateway? This is Fritz Zimmerman's idea, his theory, and we proved it. The sun comes up on Beltane, May 1st, directly in the gateway.
Wow.
Directly in the gateway. Native Americans knew nothing about Beltane. It's not there. It's a Celtic festival. Bal, where's that from? Mm-hmm. Clearly goes back to see what that.
Yep.
It travels, right? So there it is. And Fritz proved it. Absolutely proved it. We did it 2 years in a row. It's right there, dead center of the gateway. Beltane, May 1st. No Native American tribe that we're aware of knew anything about May 1st or celebrated it, just didn't do it. So we're looking at a hidden history which has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. So now let's go out to Catalina. The giants moved, and we know this from Sarah Winnemucca, who talked about the red-haired cannibalistic six-finger giants
in the Southwest,
in the Lovelock Cave.
Yep. Right?
I've been to Lovelock Cave. I've been in there. I've seen it. So I'm out. I know we could go for hours like this.
I mean, Lovelock Cave. You've been to it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one of my bucket list places.
It's a letdown because it's sealed up.
Well, can't you cross the rope?
No, you can go into the cave because there's nobody there. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody there. But there used to be the cave central, and then there was a wing that went this way and a wing that went that way. That's all sealed.
They sealed it.
They sealed it up. That's where all the artifacts and the giant skeletons were found.
Wow.
Along with the giant, there was a 10-footer, and it was a male and an 8-footer in the dry lake bed that was found.
I was under the assumption that it wasn't sealed, but rather like roped off, where it's like, no, you can't go back there. They have it sealed where it's impossible to even cross the threshold.
You can go into the cave proper. There's an entranceway, but the wings are sealed off. Wow. They have been for years.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, that's what they do.
Wow.
Oh, we have to do that because we're just afraid of people coming in here and that's a ticket.
No. Let me just tell you that's a bunch of bunk, because
you could put an iron door there, right?
You could put an iron door there.
Yeah, you can do stuff.
We're here in Tennessee, has the most caves in the United States. Kentucky's number 2. This region has tons of caves. My son, 2nd grade, goes on a field trip to a cave. Tuscaloosa Caverns, I think it's called. And the story behind it is back in the World War II era, 2 brothers were playing and they were splashing in puddles, and they realized that the one puddle they found didn't have a bottom. And so once the rain and the water receded, they went back and saw that it was an opening to a cave. They go in there and they play in there throughout their childhood. Nobody believed that they found a cave, so they just went there, and that was their spot that they would go. And it's a huge cave. They go to World War II. They come back home and they remember about the cave. They go visit it as adults and stuff, and they think, you know what, we should buy this property. So they get some jobs and stuff, and they save their money. They buy the property and they open it up for tourism. To this day, people can go in there and walk around, and it's not finished. There's parts of it that don't have handrails. And my 2nd grade son is sitting there with a rope looking over a cliff.
Good grief.
So you can't tell me that Lovelock Cave is sealed off for safety.
No.
When my son is in 2nd grade, if I saw it, I'd be like, boy, get back, But
yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on now.
No, it's deliberate.
Yeah.
I used to have, before the fire, which burned all my library and research papers, which is a real loss. That's like decades of stuff. I had an original. It cost me like $120 to buy this one on Lovelock Cave, and there were illustrations, there were pictures. It was very, very interesting. Mummies were found there, supposedly giants. In the museum now, maybe they've changed that. Excuse me. I had my wife. There was a moccasin that was in a display case at the museum near Lovelock. Very large moccasin. So Peggy puts her foot next to it. This thing's like 2.5 times as big.
Wow.
And when we were there, the curator allowed pictures of the elongated skulls with these huge, robust jaws. All that's gone. So when we got there, we were allowed. I said, look, I'm a filmmaker, blah, blah, blah. So the curator allowed me to look at the pictures and take pictures, which is what we did. But the skulls are no longer, you can't see them anymore. So all this has been swept under the carpet because of NAGPRA, Native American Grave Protection Repatriation Act. So you can't look at these things because they're Native Americans. Well, what if they're not Native American? That's our big gripe. I get that, and I've been to places where I've seen Native American, skeletons, and I've talked to the people. You need to repatriate this thing and bury somebody's uncle, somebody's father. This is an abomination. The elongated skulls in Peru, to just give you an example, are not human, in my opinion, and the DNA proves that. The Catalina picture, which I discovered, was a giant. We had 3 different experts look at the picture, digitize it, figure out how tall Ralph Glidden was, because it shows Ralph Glidden leaning on a shovel like this. It's a 9-footer.
Jeez.
That rewrites history. It rewrites history.
Yeah.
On Catalina. When I come down my canyon from deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, right, I can see Catalina Island very clearly, all day long. They were there. And Ralph Glidden writes about this. So we publish the picture. We write about it. So Richard Shaw, who's still alive then, we're making the Watcher series. We fly out. We took a boat. Originally, I flew out, and I got to fly the plane, which was really a hoot. Yeah, okay, take this stick. It was a training plane, right? So Terry is over here, Terry Johnson, and it's got 2 sets of controls, and I'm up there. I've got the headset on. Okay, LA, now take the control and look right here. Keep the thing. I go, you've got to be kidding me. No, you can do this. So I've got the stick, and I'm flying the plane at about 4,000 feet in the air, and we're headed to Catalina. He landed it. The next day, he goes, okay, let's taxi down the runway now. You're going to take off.
Whoa.
So I taxi down the runway with the pedals, and I get there, and he goes, okay, what you want to do is keep the plane. Remember, he's got a set of controls, so he can override me anytime.
Sure.
Keep the plane, in the runway like this. Just look at the nose, and when the nose starts to go up, pull back on the stick. So I took off with the airplane. I say, can I fly around the island? He goes, sure. So we flew around the island. It's just like, what? I flew around the island, flew all the way back to Los Angeles. So I think we were in Whitaker or Hawthorne. I forget where the little airport was, and he landed it. And that was really cool, but I digress. So I get wind of this thing, and when I take photographs, we published a book. That was with Terry taking me out there. So like a year later, Richard Shaw and I go out to the museum. Again, we want to see what's going on. We walk in, we can't even believe what we're looking at. And the curator that I knew is no longer there. There's a girl, a young woman who's the new curator. Mm-hmm. On the wall is the picture that I discovered in the archives. Remember, I discovered it.
It wasn't on display before.
It was not on display. It was hidden in a manila envelope. It was had a little thing, and I discovered this thing, and I took pictures of it, and then we had the picture analyzed. It's my intellectual property. Thank you. And
you should have stuffed that thing in your shirt and walked out with it.
But we have the pictures of it.
Yeah.
And what they show is Ralph Glidden leaning on the shovel. The giant, which was in front of him, is cropped from the picture. You don't see that. Completely cropped from the picture. And of course, we filmed that, and that went viral.
Yeah.
Why? This is science. Why would you guys do this?
Pure evidence of cover-up.
Why would you cover it up? And so to the museum's credit, we went out there about a year or 2 later. They had taken the picture and really blew it up, made it black and white. And I filmed right in front of that. It's in one of our YouTube channels. And they show the giant, but they don't tell you what you're looking at, mm-hmm. which again, they should. But why are they so afraid?
Yeah. If
this is the truth, what it does 2 things. It points back to the validity, actually 3 things. It points back to the validity of the supernatural world, because these are the Nephilim. It points back to the biblical narrative. It points back to Native American oral tradition, Sarah Winnemucca, and others, Chief Joseph Riverwind, that the Nephilim were here. These red-haired, 6-fingered giants roam the earth. And it points back once again to the validity of the biblical narrative. Mm-hmm. So, you've got supernatural worldview, the validity of the Bible, and the Native American oral tradition. Yeah. And they don't like that.
Yeah, it's
strike three.
It's crazy. I don't know. I just don't personally understand it as somebody maybe who's not invested like they are in keeping a certain narrative. For me, it's like,
what's the truth?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. What are you hiding?
Yeah.
Why not?
I imagine there's money involved, and that's probably a big part of it.
Well, the whole UFO thing was kept down until 2017 came out of David Fravor.
Mm-hmm.
That's why my book, Rungs of Disclosure. It's like that whole deal. We're up to the book only goes up to number 18. We're about to do a second edition, and we'll do the other rungs. That's coming out, I think, soon, real soon, maybe even during the summer. The bottom line is our government has dumped 3 dumps of UFOs. Granted, they're all close encounters of the first kind.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing entities.
Not yet.
We're not seeing close-up of but that's next. They're going to show that.
Yeah.
And maybe when Trump stands up, because it will be Trump, and says we're not alone in the universe, how does that affect the average Christian? Yeah. Steven Spielberg's film, Disclosure Day. There's a lot of information in that film, mm-hmm. which, most people don't get, but it's there. And this is where we are. This is unprecedented. We used that word earlier, but we are in uncharted, unprecedented waters in all of history. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing is the Bible warns us about this. If you just go Jesus only, men faint for fear of what's coming upon the earth. Even the elect would be deceived. If that were possible, it'd be like the days of Noah. Mm-hmm. Satan comes with all signs and lying wonders. The Spirit expressly states that in the latter days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to what? Seducing spirits and the doctrines of demons. We're here. So you say, well, how can a Christian lose its faith? Well, there's two positions. And I got this, Mondo and I had this hour-long debate, and the next morning we reconciled it. If you're a Calvinist, you believe that you can't lose your salvation. Okay? Right. I get that. But if you're an Arminian, mm-hmm. which is what I am, yep. you have free will. You can walk away. And so I get it. And, you get 2 theologians, you're going to get 4 opinions on this thing. Yeah. But then you tie in, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, the apostasia, that rebellion, the apostasy will happen. Again, 3 opinions. Mondo Gonzalez, for instance, believes that it deals with Israel. Israel will apostatize. He may be right. We don't know. We got to wait and see. Tommy Ice, God bless him, believes that word means departure. He believes it's the rapture. L.A. Marzulli believes it's apostasia. It's apostasy. There'll be a deliberate falling away from the faith, which ties right back into 1 Timothy chapter 4. We don't know, but that's what I'm espousing. So I just did like a Jesus-only walkthrough. Jesus is warning us of what's coming, and yet the church. When was the last time you heard even the elect would be to see that were possible? What are we talking about here? We're here, and it's happening. And the doctrine of seducing spirits, it's here. The other side of the aisle, the New Agers are promulgating all this stuff. Mm-hmm. We're here.
And it's also creeping into the church, too.
Absolutely.
Just in my casual conversations with people about, not in my church, but more like online when I'm talking to people for interviews, you see it at times, and it's cunning. It's deceptive. And that's by design. That's why it's called
absolutely
deception.
By design. Yeah.
I feel like the way you describe yourself, I describe myself the same way. Supernatural worldview. If you have these lenses to look at things, where you wake up in the morning and you're operating in a war that existed before you were born.
Bingo.
You start looking at things a little different. You start understanding that there are tactics to warfare, and it's not just Satan trying to get you to curse at somebody for the day. It's layered, it's deep, and the whole point is to put a dividing wall between you and the one that can save you.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And it's about deception in order to do that. Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be tactics involved. There's going to be layers to it. Obviously, I think the UFO disclosure, this whole narrative coming out is part of that. I think that the Giants could very well be part of that. I would not be surprised if I don't know how, I would love, honestly, it'd be more fun if it happens soon. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some kind of disclosure about ancient history that has been covered up, like the Giants. Would that take I don't know, like would that take the Smithsonian to admit that they have the bones?
Wouldn't that be something, right?
Yeah, like I mean, like if you were gonna do disclosure for giants, how would that unfold? You know, would it be the science? Would it be the government coming out like they are now, saying that they've been holding down this information? I don't think it would be the government. I think it would have to be an organization that would be in charge of collecting the evidence.
Well, you know, to your point, a couple of Italian scientists flew the satellites over the Giza Plateau. Mm-hmm. And of course, immediately guys like Zawi Hawass, these are amateurs, they don't know anything. Well, quit attacking them. Let's look at the data and analyze that. Who cares? You know, Biondi and Malanga are the two Italian scientists. If these shafts exist and they go down 2,100 feet.
Underneath the pyramids?
Yeah. And there's other structures there.
Yeah.
This rewrites history.
Yeah.
Completely. You can take your Egyptology and chuck it.
Yeah.
Because the Egyptians had nothing. And I believe have for, you know, since I was a kid in my teens, and when I read Peter Tompkins' book, Secrets of the Great Pyramid, no way I believe that the Egyptians built this. Gary Stearman and I have conversed on this. Fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture, that's what we're looking at. Pre-flood, destroyed in the flood. Why are there salt crystals in the Queen's Chamber? Because that's where the waters came up to.
Yeah. The pyramids and that whole deal over there, I've heard people talk about this, and I with what you're saying and stuff, I tend to agree. It seems like maybe they found something that was already there and moved into it essentially and repurposed it for their own.
I agree.
Do you think that the Sphinx was like something else other than, I mean, obviously I think it was something else if they moved in, they changed everything, but do you have any thoughts on what the Sphinx could have actually looked like if it wasn't Pharaoh?
But it's not Pharaoh, it's something else. And, you know, the whole thing with the cartouche above the King's Chamber, I'm not buying that either.
Yeah.
And no one knew it was an 8-sided pyramid. Did you know that?
No.
It's an 8-sided pyramid.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The sides go like this. So it
Interesting.
It appears like this, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the sides of the pyramid, they just look like this. Mm-hmm. So with the advent of the airplane, when the first airplane flew over the pyramid, they looked down and you can see that the sides go like this.
Wow.
And according to Gary Stearman, and I agree with him, it was with the casing stones, it was optically perfect. Optically perfect. What are we looking at? Human beings did not do this. Mm-hmm. And I believe the pyramid is far older than the Egyptians give it credit for. There are no hieroglyphics. The so-called sarcophagus that's in there would not, and I could be wrong on this, would not be able to go through the opening to the King's Chamber. It had to be lowered in. The blocks of stone, which are granite and come from Aswan, 500 miles away. So how are they quarried and how do you put those things up? They're the size of railroad cars. How do you move them? Mm. And all this, you know, the academics, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. And we can cut this with a copper saw and all this. Just not buying it.
Yeah.
Not buying it. And the casing stones, unfortunately, were all carted away, but some of them are still there. And the fact that we only understood that it was an 8-sided pyramid when the plane started flying over and could see it. So the pyramid is mysterious. But, you know, all the Egyptian authorities need to do is go to the Khafre pyramid. And according to Malanga and Biondi, there's all these chambers, all these like centrifuge type things that are under it's everywhere. The whole underneath the complex is just this whole labyrinth of, you know, technology. So just do this. The people of the world have a right to know. Mm-hmm. Okay? Get a dozer out there, a front end loader, a backhoe, some workers, build a platform, you know, maybe a half-acre square, right? So you can take all the spoils, put them on the platform. Have your archaeologists, they're sifting everything. No one's going to lose anything, but just go down. And if you find the shaft, then, you know, we're off to the races.
Yeah.
And the history as we know it. But they guaranteed they will never do it because it's going to rewrite history, and they don't want to rewrite history. So that's unfortunate.
So say the shafts are there. I believe the shafts are there.
I do too.
And that architecture, Any theories as to what it is?
Power plant.
That's what I was thinking too. It looks like the Tesla coil, right?
Yeah. Well, it powered the structures all around the globe. And then the flood happened and everything got wiped out. But we still see the vestiges of it at Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and other places. Silistani, what the heck is that? Those towers that look like this. How do you make a tower like that? How do you do that? You're going out of your way. It's a circle. So, and it goes up. So every 1/8 of an inch, the radius changes.
Wow.
And it's perfect. And there's no mortar. What are we looking at here, folks? There's a hidden history. And that's pre-flood. After the flood, it goes into the megalithic, where we don't see walls like we see at the Serapeum in Egypt or Sacsayhuaman in Peru. What we see are megaliths and dolmens. And then from there, it goes into the earthworks. And then it all just disappears. It stops, which is mysterious in itself.
Yeah.
Catalina Island, it's almost like the last of the giants are there. And then they're gone.
Well, I mean, talk about warfare. I mean, tactics change in war. And so it could appear mysterious to us, but maybe there was just a shift in how the operation was being played, you know?
I agree. I agree.
I mean, we look at the pyramids all over the world, and then you have these other structures like the Serpent Mound, the Circle Mounds, the Stonehenges, all this stuff. And you look at it as a whole, and, you know, you would want to say that the architecture you see in Egypt, how does that relate to the Serpent Mounds in Ohio? But maybe they all had different purposes. There was different, they look different.
I agree.
Because they did different things.
I agree. But we're going to show an armor trail of a Nephilim number 9. In my wheelhouse, it just blew me away. And
Wow.
it's my discovery. It's nobody else. I'm the only person who knows this other than our team. But it's there. And it's, you know, people will go, oh, that's just an interesting coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. It's not. It's not. I won't talk about it now.
Okay, I was gonna say I have to, because you keep saying this, so I have to ask for the audience. Are you willing to talk about it now?
The film will come out this year, God willing. And you know, some people will just go, oh, so what? So that doesn't mean anything. No, it means a whole lot. Just like, I'll say this, just like America Stonehenge, you don't go from the center of the henge to the summer solstice standing stone, and that line bifurcates dead center of each of the trilithons at Stonehenge, England. And somehow that's not a big deal because the earth ain't flat, folks. Okay, with all due respect to you flat earthers out there, it is a sphere. And you've got to have spherical trigonometry in order to do that. You do. You have to know that. So our surveyor knows spherical trigonometry. And that's why we know that. And you go on Google Earth, which is, you know, spherical trigonometry, because the earth ain't flat, it's a sphere. I know you're going to get all sorts of hate.
I'm
Tony,
I'm thinking about
you're
it
drinking
right
the Kool-Aid, Tony. Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Seriously, guys, if you've ever fly over the North Pole, which I have, you can see it really clearly.
Wow.
You can just see the earth do this. You go, oh my gosh. So we'll leave that as it like.
Well, maybe, but let me ask you this. Because you brought the North Pole, why such secrecy about the South Pole, Antarctica? What do you think about that?
Piri Reis map.
What?
Piri Reis map. He was a cartographer, and he drew Antarctica and showed that there was no ice there.
So you're saying there's no ice at Antarctica?
Oh, no, there's ice in Antarctica. You better believe there's ice. But why? When he drew the map, and I think it's the 14th century, I'm really bad with numbers, folks, so I apologize. But it's hundreds of years ago, okay? He drew the map, and it's a coastline of Antarctica. Well, how could he do that? There's no ice there. He drew it with no ice. At least that's what we think. How did he do that? So, and why is it that Hitler is obsessed with Antarctica? Why is it that they have a base there called New Schwabenland in Antarctica? What is going on in Antarctica? And nobody knows. At least right now, nobody knows. Allegedly, underline that word, there are certain places where you can't go. Well, there's certain places you can't go in America. Area 51. You can't walk into Area 51.
Right.
You know, you can't go there. You can't fly over it. Same thing in Antarctica. Something's going on there. I don't know what. Steve Quayle, with all due respect, has a book out on that. And I'm not saying I'm buying it. It's the type of thing that you put on the back burner because you don't know. You can't prove it one way or the other, at least not right now. But I find it, I think Hitler escaped. There was a great film on the History Channel, a great series.
Yes.
Hunting Hitler.
Yeah. Yep.
Loved it. Believed everything I saw. He flew out of Berlin. He had an ace pilot, landed in another place, then flew to Spain, and then hopped on the U-boat, wound up in South America, Bariloche, the whole thing. I believe it.
Tons of Germans in Argentina.
Lots of them. And they're all doing the Nazi salute, right? Just saying.
Yeah.
So.
There's your sign. Yeah. So is there any theories?
We're all over the map.
I know,
here.
I'm sorry, but I can't help it. Are there any theories as to why he mapped it without ice? Man, that's interesting.
Google the Piri Reis map.
I will.
And it's controversial.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But it's like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
Did God do something with that? Is that where something happened and he put a seal on it? I don't know. Because the ice is really, really deep there.
Yeah.
Goes way down.
And they I think it was in 2016 up there. Is there, Jack?
There's the Piri Reis map.
Thanks, Jack. That was fast.
Jack, you're amazing.
So it like he mapped it and
What's
had
the date
animals.
1513.
What is it?
So 14th century,
Okay,
1513.
so I was right, 14th century.
Wow.
Furs, that's 16th.
Wow. I mean, it looks like he has civilization there. Like it's the animals. Can you click on that and make it bigger, Jack? Wow. That's really interesting. Some of these ancient maps having the depictions that they have on them is really...
what's the one on the right there? What the heck is that? I mean, these are animals which we don't know what they are, right? Look at the guy to the very far left.
Yeah, it looks like his head's in his chest.
Right? What are we looking at there?
That's wild.
Yeah, it really is. And one of my bucket lists is to go to Tierra del Fuego and then pop over to Antarctica. But at 75 years old, I don't know. We'll see.
You're gonna
maybe the Lord's going to come back and take us out of here pretty sooner than later.
I'm telling you, just for the audience to know, you arrived here. Oh man, it had to be almost 10 o'clock at night. You come in, more energy than me and Jack combined.
I don't know about
singing, goofing around,
yeah, right, having fun.
Yeah, you're just like, let's go, let's do this. We're ready to go, And I'm just thinking, man. So no, 75 going on 35.
Sorry, LA, no retirement for you.
No, we will not allow it. We will not allow it. So are you thinking that the documentary stuff that you've been doing is one of those things where you're only doing it once you have marching orders?
Right now, yeah. I mean, I have, in other words, if I give you a plate of food, right, and you're not eating the plate of food, and you go, "Can I have another plate?" Is that right or wrong? That's wrong.
Yeah.
So I have a plate of food. I have 2 films, and actually there's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that we filmed when we went over to England in 2019, I haven't done anything with it.
Wow.
And there's a great interview with Hugh Newman that we did. Fantastic interview with him on the mounds. So, I mean, there's a corpus of work that's just sitting there in the files that, collecting dust. Because I keep going out, and I think the Lord is going, why don't you just eat the food on your plate before I give you more food? Okay, I get that. So we've got the whole film that we did. It'll be 3 years ago this fall. 3 years. Now, since then, we did the 10 films on UFOs, which, usurped the Newark Earthwork film at this last 2. We also did a film, Holy Shroud, Holy Fire. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're sitting on our hands.
Right.
That's 11 films right there that we did. This is Gil Zimmerman and I. And the 10 films on UFOs, you can watch them. I don't know when it's going to air, but for the month of June, you can watch any film for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Get the word out. People need to be educated.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 10 films. It's a corpus of work. Everything that you need to know about UFOs are in those 10 films.
Do you think on July 8th, with the anniversary of Roswell, you think anything's going to come from that this year?
Steven Spielberg in his movie, spoiler alert, Disclosure Day.
I do that all the time. Spoil it.
But I'm not giving it anything away because he showed it in the trailer.
Uh-huh.
So a slate is when you go click like this, and a slate is a chalkboard. That's what it was originally.
Mhm.
Now we've got little whiteboards, and we use them all the time because you go click and you can see what that role is. And guess what? Roswell, New Mexico, July 7th, right?
Mhm.
July 7th, 1947. And then it's RAAF bombing group, which is the bombing group that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What's that in the film for? And then it cuts away and it looks like they're doing something. And then it cuts away. And this was really interesting. Gil and I, it's in our film on Roswell. We have 2 films on Roswell. We found a piece of it debris. We're the only film company ever to show a piece of metal coming out of the ground, and we've had it tested. It's between 2 known aluminum alloys, but it doesn't match. How does that work? We don't know. More testing needs to be done. So where was I going with this? So in our film on Roswell, in the debris field, there was this black and white film that we felt had been leaked. And it's on YouTube. It was leaked. And we looked at it at least a half a dozen times. So you got to say to yourself, well, could someone recreate? Well, of course they could, but for why? For a hoax? Well, they're not making any money. Who cares? It's a black and white film. It shows, just like the Spielberg film, they're carrying in one of the entities on a stretcher. And in our film, the cameraman's here, and the guys come in this way and set it down. Somebody comes running right in front of the cameraman, goes, hey, get careful, less about the cameraman, and goes right in front and looks at this entity that's been put on the ground. And there's a crowd of people, and the cameraman finally gets a shot at this thing. We think it's real, which is why we put it in the film. We think it's real. And Spielberg uses the same type of the same scenario in his film, Disclosure Day. It's very, very interesting. And that slate says July 7th. The paper is July 8th, which says RAAF captures flying saucer. The 9th, just a weather balloon. And then we get the character in Day of Disclosure who goes, this 79-year campaign has to end. That's what he says in the film, and he's talking about Roswell.
Yeah.
Because the witnesses go missing and the deliberate obfuscation. It's a weather balloon. I mean, there's some well-meaning Christian people who, tell us that it's a weather balloon. My retort, have you been out to the debris field? Oh, no. Really? Well, we have. We also found a 12-inch spike in the debris field. Why is that there? To throw off the metal detectors. Mm-hmm. And Frank Kimber, who was our guide along with Chuck Sikowski, Frank had found 3 aluminum buttons that were issued between 1940 and 1950. He found them in the debris field. Why? Because they stood shoulder to shoulder on their hands and knees picking up the stuff, but they didn't get all of it. Because this thing, we show it in the film, when it hit, shards of it like a bullet out of a gun. And that's what we found. And the metal's all folded in on itself like this. It's all folded in on itself. So when we're at the lab looking at this thing under a scanning electron microscope, and it's aluminum and magnesium, but it doesn't fit any known aluminum alloy. And it vexed the metallurgist. I don't understand why and it would hit, and then it would go flip like that. She couldn't get it. So it's in between 2 known aluminum alloys. Chuck Sikowski's piece that he tested, same thing. Frank Kimber's piece that he tested, same thing. Why would they drive the spikes in that field to throw off people with a metal detector?
Just so that they didn't get it all. Wow.
They didn't get it all.
Clearly.
They didn't get it all. I have a piece.
That's wild.
Chuck Sikowski has a piece. Frank Kimber
I didn't realize that other people had pieces too. Was it a piece did you guys find one piece and you split it? Or
no? That day we found 2 pieces.
Wow.
And Chuck was generous enough to give me the 1 piece, and Frank took the other piece. Frank probably has at least 10 pieces. He's been out there like 20 times.
So this is something that has, it's not an anomaly. Like you can go out there and find.
Well, you got to know where it is, and you got to know where to look, and you got to know, Frank knew where to go and where not to go because they spiked the field. He found 3 buttons on the perimeter. So he was outside of the place where and he goes, hey guys, I got a hit. It's all in our film in the debris field. It's all in our film. We actually show, hey guys, I got a hit. And we go running over, the cameras jiggling like this, and he's got a little garden spade and he digs this thing out and he's sifting his hands like this and finds it and he goes, and then we wash it and he puts it in my hand. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
That's wild. All right, I got two more questions for you, then we'll bring it in for a landing because it's getting late, and I know we gotta. I'm working a sweatshop over here, and tomorrow morning you got me back here.
Yes, sir.
But one question I'm sure you'll have an answer to. The other one, I'm not sure if there's actually anything there. But I wanted to ask because it's curiosity. All the things you've studied, all the things you've researched, places you've been to. Has there ever been a trip, an expedition? That you went on or went to go study something that never made it to actually discussing publicly for whatever reason?
Oh, yeah. I'm sitting on all sorts of stuff.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought there would be like, I honestly thought I'd ask that question. Like, no, every trip I've gone on, I've talked about publicly.
No. I mean, when I was in England, we went to the Long Barrows. I've talked about this publicly. But there's a film on this because she kept the camera running. I got hit. We went into the Long Barrows. That's where elongated skulls were found in England. And I'm interviewing Hugh Newman and I get hit. And I got brain fog. I got to get out of here. I ran out of there and sat in the sun for 15 minutes and it finally lifted.
Wow.
Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff that we've never, for instance, the one film that I'll be working on, Armor Trail number 9, nobody knows about that. Nobody knows anything about that. Yeah.
Well, maybe you can tell me sometime when it comes out. So now I have two more. The other one just kind of popped in my head. You're talking about all these different artifacts you touched and stuff. The skulls, the implants, all these different things. The mummy. Is there, in your heart, is there any of the things that you've personally handled that hold a special part in your heart over everything else? Because like I know you have the piece of metal that you have with you. It was here last time. I'm assuming you don't leave home without it. I wouldn't either. But like I mean, you unwrapped a mummy and got hair samples. Like there's a lot of things you've done. Is there anything that like you're like that's the one that really?
I mean, I think the Roswell thing. Cause I got a kid at candy store. I mean, it's on film. I'm like beaming from ear to ear, going, "Look what we got!" Because it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, that right after it happened, we were in a place, no cell service at all. So because that's how remote this place is. So as soon as we got someplace, I'm on the phone with Gary Stearman. I'm on the phone with Bob Ulrich and going, "You're not going to believe what we just got out of the ground." I mean, it was really, I would say out of everything, because that goes back to when I was a kid, the whole Roswell thing. We were actually in Hangar 84. We got to go in Hangar 84. Thank you, Bull. It's just typical thing. We're on the outside, we can't get in there, right? And I see this guy smoking a cigarette on the other side of the fence. I go, "Hey, we're a small little film company from California. Can we come in?" He goes, "Well, come up to the front entrance." We go to the front entrance. He's got the manager. The guy's name was Bull. And Bull goes, "Yeah, I'll be down in 20 minutes. 20 minutes go by. Come on in." Next thing you know, we're in the conference room, right? And Bull's here, and I'm talking to Bull. We film all this. And I go, "Well, can we go into the hangar?" "Yeah, let's go." Next thing you know, and I'm like, once again, a kid in the candy store. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh. And we're in the hangar. I mean, I saw that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When they were filming there. And, we got to film in Hangar 84, which is where they took the UFO, the damaged UFO, and the bodies. It's all there.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
That's surreal.
The next day, we were out in the debris field and we found a piece of the metal. And when we were filming in the debris field, and I've seen this before, brand new batteries in the camera. Brand new batteries, right? So it's Chuck Zukowski, Frank Kimball, and yours truly. And I'm interviewing these guys, and Gil and Jim Peterson, Gil Zimmerman, Jim Peterson are filming. Both of them go, "Oh my gosh, hold on, guys, cut. Battery's completely drained. Completely drained." Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Karen earlier today was talking to me about similar things that happen around her.
Yeah.
So all right. So obviously that whole scene holds a special place in your heart. Now, of all the things that you've covered over the years, from your perspective, observing its impact on the world, has there been any one, whether it's a topic or story, that you feel really had more of a profound impact than other things have that you've covered?
Well, I mean, there's the three that come to mind. Is the removal of Emil's implant, which shows the physicality of the UFO phenomena and shows the abduction phenomena completely. It validates everybody's experience. And then our studies of all that, the implants and what they are. I believe that they are prototypes to the mark of the beast.
Okay.
That's what I think they are. So you've got Emil's implant removal, which is huge. Obviously, our piece of metal coming out of the Roswell site. And then the Kumbergaz UFO. We've already talked about that. That Dr. Roger Lear filmed.
Yeah.
I mean, which shows the grays. I mean, you've got physicality, you've got hardcore evidence. I mean, when I started talking about implants, we already kind of covered this. I was laughed at. Nobody believed it.
Yeah.
The moment we took that thing out on film, silence. And there's no entry wound. There's no entry wound there. It's just how did it get in there? Just like Linda Moulton Howe or Chuck Zukowski talks about, the heart coming out of a cow, but the pericardium, the sac around the heart, is still intact. How do they do that? Or Karen, when you go up to the window and you hover there for a little bit and you feel your body tingle, then you go through.
Yeah.
We're not making this up, folks.
Yeah, we're talking about a very advanced technology.
Very advanced technology.
That when you look back at Egypt and other places, you say,
it's there.
There's remnants.
There's remnants of it.
Yeah. LA, man, I appreciate you hopping in here
Tony.
tonight.
Really fun. Wasn't that fun?
I think it was fun. I think it was fun too. Yeah. But tell people where they can get your stuff so that.
Yeah. LAMarzulli.com, streaming.lamarzulli.net. All 34 films are there.
Yeah.
Rungsofdisclosure.com. The rungs are going up. I'm on YouTube, the LA Marzulli, all social network, LA Marzulli. I'm all over the place. We do a show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So there you go.
Yeah, I almost didn't, but I was like, I should let him tell people where. I was thinking, who doesn't know? But you never know. Maybe there's a new person on the block, right?
There you go.
But I appreciate you being out here.
Thanks, Tony.
Awesome.
Fist bump.
Fist bump.
All right.
All right. Cut scene.